Flemish or Belgian Dutch, or Vlaams, is the Dutch language as spoken in Flanders, the northern part of Belgium, be it standard or informal or ʻtɪsə. There are four principal Dutch dialects in Flanders: Brabantian, East Flemish, West Flemish, and Limburgish. The latter two are sometimes considered separate languages. Linguistically, Flemish is sometimes used as a term for the language of the former County of Flanders, especially West Flemish. However, as a result of political emancipation of the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium, the combined culture of that region has come to be known as Flemish, and so sometimes are the four dialects or the common intermediate language. Despite the name, Brabantian, and in particular its Antwerp dialect, is the dominant contributor to the Flemish tussentaal. Using it for the official language in Flanders is misleading. The only official language in Flanders is Standard Dutch. Dutch in Flanders. Dutch is the majority language in Belgium, being spoken natively by 3/5 of the population. It is accorded equal legal status as a national language, with French and German, and is the only official language of the Flemish region. The various Dutch dialects spoken in Belgium contain a number of lexical and a few grammatical features which distinguish them from the Standard Dutch. As in the Netherlands, the pronunciation of Standard Dutch is affected by the native dialect of the speaker. All Dutch dialect groups spoken in Belgium are spoken in adjacent areas of the Netherlands as well. At the same time, East Flemish forms a continuum with both Brabantic and West Flemish. Standard Dutch is primarily based on the Hollandic dialect and on Brabantian, which is the most dominant Dutch dialect of the southern Netherlands and Flanders. Phonological differences. Among Flemish vowels is the diphthong as in bout, and as in fauna is realized as eiu, whereas in Northern Dutch it is realized as ei. Among consonants, the Northern Dutch pronunciation of w is e. In some Southern Dutch dialects it is I²i, or w. Probably the most obvious difference between Northern and Southern Dutch is in the sounds spelled car and gar. The sound spelled car is a voiceless velar fricative, x, in Northern Dutch, and a voiceless prevelar fricative, kshy in Southern Dutch. In the north, the sound spelled gar is usually realized as voiceless velar fricative, x, or voiceless uvular fricative, I, whereas in the south the distinction between voiced and unvoiced has been preserved, and a gar is pronounced as voiced prevelar fricative. Consonants, a y realized as I²i, a car and a gar pronounced as front velars, not as palatals, as often claimed. Alveolar consonants are pronounced as denti-alveolars, vowels. The difference between short and long vowels tends to be quantitative instead of qualitative, especially in the influential Brabantic pronunciation. Diphthongs, strong tendency towards monophthongization. A or /a our realized as eie, a/ija area realized as ae, a realized as angstrom. Lexical differences. Flemish includes more French loanwords in its everyday vocabulary than does Netherlands Dutch, but there are exceptions. For example, the former Belgian gendarmerie was known as the Rijkswacht in Belgium, while the equivalent body in the Netherlands is the Koninklijke Marechaussee. The traditionally most spoken Dutch dialect in Belgium, Brabantian, has had a large influence on the vocabulary used in Belgium. Examples include bij en hoor and slagger, both meaning butcher and slagerige. Also schoon versus moe beautiful. Another notable difference is ge/gij versus j/jij, jolly. The changes from Northern to Southern Dutch dialects are somewhat gradual, both vocabulary-wise and phonetically, and the boundaries within coincide with territorial borders. There is a distinct boundary located in the river area of the Netherlands, a historical border of the Roman Empire, south of which Brabants is spoken, a Dutch dialect with some of the phonological traits commonly associated with Belgium. A second distinct border area is located around the border with the Belgian territories, where the transition is mostly lexical, but also with an intensification of the phonological diversion from Northern Dutch. An exception to the border with the Belgian territories for this border is Zeelandic Flanders, a part of the Netherlands where Flemish is spoken. the differences between Dutch in the Netherlands and Flemish are significant enough for Flemish and Dutch television shows with rather informal speech customarily to become subtitled for the other country in the standard language. In 2009, one of the main publishers of Dutch dictionaries, Prisma, published the first Dutch dictionary that distinguished between the two dialectic varieties Nederlands and Belgisch-Nederlands, treating both variations as equally correct. The selection of the Flemish Dutch words was based on the referentia bestaan Belgisch-Nederlands, an electronic database built under the supervision of Prof. Dr. W. Martin and Prof. Dr. W. Smeets. Professor Willy Martin, one of the Flemish editors, claimed that the latter expressions are just as correct as the former. This formed a break with the previous lexicologists' custom of indicating Dutch words that are mostly only used in Flanders, while not doing the same for Dutch words mostly only used in the Netherlands, which could give the impression that only usage in the Netherlands defines the standard language. In the Dutch language, around 3,500 words exist which are considered Flemish Dutch, and 4,500 words which are considered Netherlands Dutch. In November 2012 the Belgian radio channel Radio 1 wrote a text with many Flemish words and asked several Dutch-speaking people to translate it into General Dutch. Almost no inhabitant of the Netherlands was able to make a correct translation, whereas almost all Flemings succeeded. Tussentaal, the supra-regional, semi-standardized colloquial form of Dutch spoken in Belgium, which uses the vocabulary and the sound inventory of the Brabantic dialects, is often called tussentaal. Its evolution is somewhat similar to the emergence of Nederlands in the Netherlands, a medium of everyday speech heavily influenced by Hollandic. Nederlands and tussentaal are sociolects. The tussentaal is a primarily informal variety of speech which occupies an intermediate position between regional dialects and a standard language. It incorporates phonetic, lexical and grammatical elements that are not part of the standard language but are drawn from local dialects. It is a relatively new phenomenon that has been gaining popularity during the past decades. Some linguists note that it seems to be undergoing a process of standardization. Etymology: the adjective Flemish, meaning from Flanders, was probably borrowed from Old Frisian. The name Vlaanderen was probably formed from a stem Vlaam, meaning flooded area, with a suffix a degree rearmer attached. The Old Dutch form is Vlamisk, which becomes Vlaemsk, Vloem in Middle Dutch and Vlaams in Modern Dutch. See also, Belgian French, French Flemish. The West Flemish dialect is spoken in France, Zeelandic, a transitional dialect between West Flemish and Hollandic. References